is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The energy. We walked around for 35 minutes just in the parking lot looking for this car. The passion. UVM schedules the way they do to get as high a seed as possible in the NCAA tournament and to get as much tournament prep as they can because they're not going to get it from their league. The opinions on all your favorite teams. The organization should be taking care of Mac rather than Mac taking care of the organization. This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com. What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show here on a Thursday, a full show Thursday on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We're up until 7 o'clock. Then we pass the torch off to George Thomas and Jazz with George Thomas. Tons to get to. Buster Olney is going to be with us like he always is on a Thursday. Buster traveling to Houston today for the World Series, so we'll get to him at about 6:10 today, but we do have a lot to get to around Buster. I promised you a little UVM hoops talk today. We'll do that, and we're also going to play everyone's new favorite game, your NFL team in 3 words or less. We're going to do the AFC in about 15 minutes. We'll do the NFC in the 6 o'clock hour towards the end of the show, and we'll take it. People liked it. I love your NFL team in 3 words or less. It just kind of takes a bit, and everybody still loved it. So we're going to do that today as we'll cover all the teams around the league. Thursday Night Football tonight between the Bucs and the Ravens. You can get in, as always, on the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026, your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go. The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber. They are Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. So today we kind of got a capper on the Patriots quarterback situation. Bill Belichick officially did name Mac Jones the starter for this week against the Jets, but he would not commit beyond that. Bill Belichick did not say that Mac Jones is the starter from here on out. He didn't say that Mac Jones is a starter next week. He didn't say that Mac Jones is the starter when healthy. He said he will start this week against the Jets, and that's all he would commit to. And now I believe it is official. I believe that now, starting today, Mac Jones is officially on notice. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to like it. But from where I'm sitting, Mac Jones is on notice. Before, Bill Belichick could hide behind the injury. You could say, well, Mac's not 100%, so we're not sure. Or, we'll cross that bridge once Mac is healthy. Mac is healthy. He's off the injury report entirely. He's not questionable. He's not doubtful. He's not limited. There is nowhere to run for Bill Belichick in this conversation now. Mac's ready to play. And the fact that Bill still won't commit to him, that leads me to believe he is on notice. Bill Belichick does not have Mac Jones's back publicly. Mac is aware of that, I'm sure, and I'm sure should and is worried about it. Now, I don't know if Mac Jones is on notice for this year in terms of being replaced eventually by Bailey Zappi, or whether Mac Jones is on notice for being potentially replaced in the offseason. But he is on notice. His spot moving forward is no longer secure. Again, I don't know if it means that Zappi will replace him this year potentially, or if it means the Pats might look to upgrade in the offseason. But either way, Mac Jones today was put on notice. And if you think that I am wrong, if you think that I am exhibiting hyperbole, or if you think that I'm overblowing this, I'm not. Go read the other Patriots insiders. Phil Perry, Tom Curran, the guys who are in the know, the guys who cover the team, they all feel the exact same way, that this is a message. Mac Jones is fully healthy. He's ready to play. And Bill Belichick won't promise him anything moving forward. You can look at it today, October 27th, 2022. This is the day that Mac got served notice. Does not mean that it won't end up with a happy ending here. Doesn't mean that Mac won't sing for his supper and win. But it means that today is the day that he has been put on notice. And I believe that what is happening right now to Mac Jones is completely unfair. Completely unfair. Mac Jones is a first-round pick. And despite what people say, first-round picks deserve a longer leash. They just do. You invested in them. You pay them more money. They have longer contracts. First-round picks, especially at the quarterback position, they deserve opportunities to show whether or not they are the guy. Unless you have someone better behind them, which I don't believe the Patriots do, then Mac Jones deserves a chance like other first-round picks to get. He deserves a longer leash than a season and 4 games or a season and a half. What is being done to Mac Jones by putting him on notice, I believe to be completely unfair. Look around the NFL landscape. Trevor Lawrence is a first-round pick. He's had terrible success in Jacksonville. Do you really want to bench him and move on? Because I don't. Justin Fields going into the other night in Chicago, 4-12 as a starter with 11 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. Do you want to bench him? I don't. I want to see what these guys can do. Zach Wilson was 3-10 last year as a starter, and from the moment he got healthy, the Jets inserted him as the starter again this year. Okay, first-round picks, they deserve an opportunity, and sometimes they're not the guy, right? Mitch Trubisky got 3 years of 12-plus starts in Chicago, and they moved on. They said, look, we've had enough of a look. He's not the guy. Cleveland did the same with Baker Mayfield. Sometimes you give a guy a long look and you just realize he's not for you. There's no harm in that. But Baker Mayfield got 4 years. 4 years in Cleveland. Sam Darnold got multiple years in New York. That is what is deserved, because sometimes they bomb out like Darnold or Trubisky or Baker, and sometimes they turn into Josh Allen. But it takes time to figure out which one you've got. And Mac Jones having to fight for his job after 21 starts or 20 starts or whatever, that to me is absurd. You look at so Mac Jones just made the 4th start of his second year, right, against the Bears. And it was an ugly 3 series, right? Josh Allen's 4th start of his second year, he went 13 of 28 for 153 yards, no touchdowns, 3 picks, and was sacked 4 times. Just sometimes it happens later, and you need to let a guy develop. You give a guy time. And yes, if he becomes Baker Mayfield or Mitch Trubisky, then you move on to somebody else. But just maybe he turns into Josh Allen, who's great, or just maybe he turns into Daniel Jones in year 4, who's at least way better than people had expected. Guys need time. Guys need structure. Guys need belief. Look at Tua. Tua got yo-yoed around for a couple of years, and all of a sudden, his new coach believes in him publicly, and hey, the Dolphins are winning with him. Same with Daniel Jones. Your quarterback will benefit from time and time to develop, and they'll benefit from a belief system that they have in the quarterback. And right now, Mac isn't getting any of that, and I feel bad for him. I get it. Fair and just are not words that really exist in highly competitive businesses. I can use them. I feel bad for what's happening to Mac because it's not fair. Everywhere else in the league, first-round quarterbacks are getting 3 and 4 and 5 years to prove if they're the guy. And Mac Jones right now is on notice after 20 games. And he's been to the playoffs. Like, that's the other thing. Trevor Lawrence won, 2 games last year? I saw Trevor Lawrence get beat in Foxborough 50-3 last season. Trevor Lawrence has the unequivocal support right now in Jacksonville. Justin Fields was 4-12 going into the other night. Zach Wilson, 3-10 as a starter coming into this year. And he's not doing a whole lot for this year's Jets team. All these guys are getting chances, and Mac is put on notice. I disagree with it. Ross says, my friend has a friend who's an NFL insider and was told Mac might be traded before the deadline. Well, there's been the report, right? Jason Lockett-Fora of the NFL Network, I don't know where he is anymore, but he already said that Mac might be traded in the offseason. I don't think Mac's going to get traded before Tuesday, right? Tuesday is the trade deadline. I don't think Mac's getting traded before Tuesday. I could see Mac getting traded in the offseason. This is equivalent to a just graduated college student getting thrown into running a billion-dollar company. 21 days essentially isn't enough. Correct. It's not enough. Again, Baker Mayfield had 4 years in Cleveland. And eventually they decided, like, hey, he's not our guy. And for the Browns, it stinks that they invested in that. It stinks that they gave him that time and it didn't work out the way they wanted. But you know what? At least they know. They have a full body of work, and they know. Then you go and look at Chicago. Same thing. They know. Buffalo gave Josh Allen time, and it worked out well. Can you imagine if Josh Allen was benched after 20 games? I mean, you'd be missing out on the arguably the best player in the league. And Mac's never going to be Josh Allen, but he deserves time, especially again when nobody really is behind him. Zappe was a nice story. He does some nice things. He's not pushing him, right? When Trubisky got pushed out of Chicago, they had Justin Fields there. I'd go to Justin Fields too. When some team has a highly drafted quarterback, like I get why the Niners wanted to push Jimmy Garoppolo out. They had Trey Lance, the third overall pick. I get those things. When those guys are barreling down your neck, then you make the move. The Patriots don't have that situation. Joe in Richmond. I agree, Brady, 100%. Mac went to the playoffs and a Pro Bowl. He deserves better to him than what Bill is doing. I agree. To me, it's less even like, oh, he went to the playoffs. Like, well, yeah, like that's great. I know last year was last year. Mac Jones had 10 wins in a season and played a whole year. You look at these other guys, Justin Fields, I think had 2 last year. Zach Wilson was 3-10. Mac Jones won 10 games. He won 5 times as many as the number 1 pick in the draft. You deserve to have a longer leash than that rather than your coach throwing you under the damn bus. So it is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Somebody says, Brady, Red Sox broke the curse of the Bambino in 2004 on this day. That they did. Pretty amazing. The Red Sox World Series victory came 18 years ago today. We haven't even started the World Series yet. That's what the lockout has done to this NFL season. So, yeah, Mac Jones to me absolutely deserves better than this. This to me is not right. We saw Tua yo-yoed around with Ryan Fitzpatrick a couple years ago. I felt bad for him. I feel bad for Mac because this is just this is not what you do to a guy who has done everything right. This is not what you do to a guy who has had success. So, all right, we're going to do everyone's apparent favorite game. We're going to play your NFL team in 3 words or less, okay? 3 words or less, your NFL team. We're going to start with the AFC. Can we cue the music, people? All right, you know how we do this now. We've done this once before. We do it again today. We go division by division. We go in order of standing. So let's start in the AFC East. Buffalo Bills. Open more eyes. The Bills, to me, do not have the best record in football, but they are the best team in football. The Eagles have the better record. The Bills are 5-1. They just beat the Chiefs. They certainly should have your attention by now, but maybe they don't. They were just on their bye week, and now they're taking on Aaron Rodgers on Sunday night. The Packers are scuffling, but there's just this kind of prevailing thought that Rodgers is going to figure it out and going to bail him out, RELAX, and Aaron Rodgers is going to save the day. Well, maybe the Buffalo Bills won't allow that. They're 5-1. They're allowing the fewest yards per game on defense. They're allowing the fewest points per game on defense. If they can dismantle Aaron Rodgers and the Packers on national television, then everybody will be aware at how good they are. Buffalo Bills, 3 words or less, open more eyes. They've already beaten the Chiefs. now national television against the Packers. If they win this game, and they win it handily, and send Aaron Rodgers to 3-5, the Bills Mafia and the Bills Fever is going to get further and further out of control. New York Jets, another litmus test. The Jets are 5-2. They are undeniably good defensively. But when a team has been as bad as they have been, for as long as they've been so bad, they have to keep proving themselves to get people to buy in. Okay? Other people agree with me. Vegas has the Patriots as the favorite, despite the Pats being 3-4 and the Jets being 5-2. They've beaten Aaron Rodgers. They've beaten Denver without Russell Wilson. Now you play New England at home in a game that if you're New York, you should win. I know Vegas doesn't favor you, but to me, New York has a very realistic chance of winning this game. They're going all out, right? The all-black uniforms, the black helmets, the crazy fans. They hate the Patriots. This is a game now where the Jets aren't sneaking up on somebody. This is another litmus test. It's one thing to win when everybody's counted you out. You're a double-digit underdog against the Packers at Lambeau. Can you hold serve at home? Can you hold serve in the division? Can you beat the team that's dominated you? And can you beat them when the marketing hype is behind you? This game will mean more to Jets fans, and Jets fans, or the Jets, will have another litmus test to prove just how good they are. Dolphins are in third place in the AFC East. 3 words or less, need some consistency. Dolphins beat the Steelers, but Tua really didn't play that well. He had 4 interceptions dropped in that game. They need the Tua of the first few games. Now, he was rusty. He was injured. You know how I feel. Rusty and injured quarterbacks should play the entire game if they're healthy, but they're going to need the good Tua if they want to stay in the AFC playoff picture. They have the pieces to do it. They're playing the Lions this week. Maybe it's a chance to get going again offensively. Patriots, what's the plan? That's it. What's the plan? What are the Patriots right now? Right? What's the plan for Mac? Is he going to play the whole game this week? Is he going to get benched? Is he the quarterback of the future, or are they moving on in the offseason? Are they drafting another quarterback in the offseason, or are they trading for one? Does Mac really believe in Bill, or does he not? Does Bill really believe in Mac, or does he not? What's up with the coaching staff? How are we feeling about that? Why are we not communicating with the team? Why does Ramondre Stevenson not know who's going to play quarterback in a game on Monday Night Football? What are they doing at the trade deadline? Phil Perry said the Pats are getting calls on all of their wide receivers. Kendrick Bourne, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar, Jacoby Myers. They've also gotten calls on Jabril Peppers, according to Doug Kyde of Pro Football Focus. What's the plan? A lot of different ways this thing can go if you're the New England Patriots. What's the plan? All right, let's move over to the AFC West. Kansas City Chiefs, 3 words or less, not missing Tyreek. The Chiefs are 5-2. I understand they lost to the Buffalo Bills, but they're 5-2. They're second in the NFL offensively in yards per game, 403 yards per game. They're second in passing yards per game, and they're first in scoring at 32 points per game. They're on a bye week this week. They just added an interesting piece in Kadarius Toney, the former high-round draft pick of the New York Giants. I don't know that the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, but they're not missing Tyreek Hill. That's for sure. Los Angeles Chargers, 3 words or less, another disappointing year. I know the Chargers are 4-3. I know they're in second place, but it is always something. It is always something with this organization. For a while, they couldn't win games late. For a while, they couldn't hit field goals. They couldn't play on special teams. Then they were getting beat on 4th down last year. Now they're 2 injured. They lost to the Seahawks at home by 2 touchdowns. That is unacceptable. This team has Justin effing Herbert. This team has Austin Eckler. This team has Keenan Allen. This team has Mike Williams. This team invested in J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack. It has Derwin James. This team is one of the best rosters in the NFL, but it's always something. Jackson's out for the year. Williams left the game the other day. They just got Keenan Allen back. Bosa's out. It's just another disappointing year. Vegas Raiders, 3 words. I don't even need 3. This is 3 words or less. Golden opportunity. The Raiders are 2-4, right? They feel like an afterthought with Josh McDaniels, but guess what? They're going down to New Orleans with a golden opportunity to get to 3-4. You have a chance to get right back into the race with a win. It's a Saints team that also is really banged up. They're still starting Andy Dalton. I mean, Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Marshawn Lattimore, all of them are injured for the Saints. This is a game that is winnable on the road for Las Vegas, and Josh Jacobs was great last time out against Houston, running for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns. We wrote off Josh McDaniels and the Raiders. If they can get to 3-4, though, they're absolutely right back in it. Last place in the AFC West, the Denver Broncos. 3 words or less. Russ is weird. Russell Wilson is off, man. Russell Wilson is off right now as far as I was blinded by this, right? Was Russ always this weird? I know people thought that he was fake. I know people thought that he was corny. I loved Russ's stuff. He's saying go Hawks at the end of interviews, and he's always optimistic, and he's always positive. I loved Russ. But here he is now. He just seems like a totally different guy. Maybe he was always like this, but Russ, did you hear this yesterday?
I don't really get jet lag too often. I don't really, I've traveled enough to get, kind of get my system down. But yeah, for me, I was on the plane. First 2 hours, I was, about 8 hours flight here. The first 2 hours, I was watching the film, watching all the cut-ups and everything else. And then for the next 4 hours, I was doing treatment on the plane. I was walking up and down the aisles. Everybody was knocked out. I was doing high knees and working on my legs and everything else, making sure I'm ready to rock.
Russ is just, he just has to tell us all the work that he's doing, right? You know the old quote, when you're good at something, you'll tell everybody. When you're great at something, they'll tell you. Russell Wilson, I don't need to hear. Yes, he's got an injured hamstring, but he wants us all to know that he's not sleeping, that he's putting in the work, that he's doing this. Last year when he injured his finger with the Seahawks, Russ is like, I had a device on my finger for 23 hours a day. Maybe he was always this weird, but Russ is weird, man. And it's a weird thing in Denver right now where they're 2-5. And the reports are out, if they lose to the awful Jaguars in London, Nathaniel Hackett could be fired if they fall to 2-6. All right, AFC North, first place, Baltimore Ravens. They'll play tonight against the Buccaneers. 3 words or less. Lamar, immensely talented. I know this team is not just about Lamar Jackson. They have other really good players, right? Mark Andrews is excellent. He's banged up a little bit. He's questionable going into tonight, but when I really stopped to look at the stats today on Lamar Jackson, it is amazing how special he is, right? He's 4th in the NFL in touchdown passes. That's what he's paid to do. He also is 5th in the NFL in rushing yards. A quarterback is 5th in the NFL in rushing yards. He has 510 yards on 66 carries. He's got the most design runs of any QB in the league. He is just a special player. Just a very special player. I hope he holds up over time, right? Cam Newton didn't. We're worried about Josh Allen, how he'll hold up with all these guys that run. But I hope he does, because what he does is incredible. Cincinnati Bengals. I might have to change mine because there's some breaking news that came in. So my 3 words or less on them is they're getting hot, but now they're getting injured. Jamar Chase, one of the best wide receivers in the league, Joe Burrow's favorite target, out 4 to 6 weeks with a hip injury. That's just in from Adam Schefter. And this is the wrong time for that, because Joe Burrow is cooking right now. 481 passing yards, 3 touchdown passes last week, 481 yards last week. The team also has the 8th best defense in points allowed, 11th best in yards allowed. They are one of the better teams in the league, but Jamar Chase being out, that's a big deal. 4 to 6 weeks. You're out your favorite target and your most dynamic offensive player. 3 words or less, Cleveland Browns. Poor Nick Chubb. The Browns are 2-5. They choked away a game against the Jets. They lost by 3 against the Ravens after having a lead early. The Browns, they don't have Deshaun Watson. And look, I don't have to like Deshaun Watson, but he's a lot better than Jacoby Brissett. I feel bad for Nick Chubb, man. His career, he went to the playoffs 1 time so far. He leads the league in rushing yards. He leads the league in rushing touchdowns. He leads the league in rushing first downs. He's a special player, playing for a team right now that is constantly in its own way. Last year, they're in their own way with the Baker stuff, and he's playing injured and all that. And they got Case Keenum. They got a quarterback out with COVID at the end of the year. And then this year, the Watson stuff, it's just a circus constantly. And Nick Chubb is the consummate professional, and he's always great. I want to see Nick Chubb on a bigger stage. Pittsburgh Steelers, last place in the AFC North. Trade deadline drama. That's all that really matters to them. Are they going to trade Chase Claypool or not? Right? Are they moving off of guys? They've got Washington, the wide receiver. They're a guy. They have players that people are interested in. What exactly are they going to do? Outside of Kenny Pickett's development, all that really matters to me is the trade deadline. Last division of the AFC. Remember, we'll do the NFC at the end of the show. Last division is the AFC South. The Tennessee Titans are in first place. My question is, are they good? 3 words or less, are they good? Right? Like, they've won 4 in a row. That's always good in the NFL. They won last week without scoring an offensive touchdown. Now, Derrick Henry's gotten going 3 straight games of 100 yards or more. But the defense overall, outside of some big turnovers forced and some big stops, they haven't been all that great consistently, and their quarterback is still Ryan Tannehill, and they still don't have A.J. Brown. And I'd kind of written the Titans off at 0-2. Now I need to come back and say, okay, are they good? Indianapolis, Frank Reich shaking. Frank Reich is coaching for his job. Maybe not this week, but he's coaching for his job, right? He's had how many different quarterbacks in Indy? Andrew Luck and Jacoby Brissett and Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz. And they had another guy fill in. I think Jacob Eason might have started a game. And now they got Sam Erlinger, who's going to start. Frank Reich is grasping at straws, right? Like, what are they, 3-3-1 right now, guys? 3-3-1 are the Colts in the AFC South. They got beat last week. 3-3-1. They got beat last week in a game they shouldn't have lost to Tennessee. I mean, they're just not as good as they're supposed to be. And Frank Reich is shaking because he is coaching for his job. Jaguars, they go to London to take on the weird Russell Wilson-led Broncos. Can't finish games. Young teams and bad teams can't finish games. A lot of games in the NFL are close. It's how you can finish that separates you, and the Jaguars just can't, right? The offense is playing a little better, right? Trevor Lawrence is playing better, but the defense is allowing 29 points a game and 435 yards a game over the last 2 weeks. Every one of their losses has come by 8 points or less. They're not getting completely blown out. They just can't finish. And last week, they were stopped on the doorstep of the goal line at the 1 against the New York Giants. And finally, last team in the AFC, the Houston Texans, last place in the AFC South, top 5 picks. That is all that matters to the Houston Texans right now. The Texans have 1 win. They currently have the number 2 pick in the draft. Oh, wait. They also have Cleveland's pick because of the Deshaun Watson trade. That currently is number 5. So as it stands right now, the Houston Texans have picks 2 and 5 in the draft. They can do whatever they want at 2 and 5. Do you want to keep 1 and trade out 1? Do you want to take a quarterback at 1 and replace Davis Mills? I don't know what you want to do, but all options are on the table. I am not an advocate of tanking, and I would much rather my team win. But if I'm a Texans fan, I'm pretty excited about the future here. You got a Dameon Pierce running back who's pretty good, and you got 2 picks right now in the top 5. Now, I think Cleveland's going to win more games, but Cleveland's taking on some very stiff competition coming up. They may not win a bunch of games this year. You may end up with a 5 or 7 pick. That would be a great way to continue to jumpstart your rebuild if you're Nick Caserio and company in Houston. That's your NFL team in 3 words or less, AFC version. We'll do the NFC again in the next hour. What we'll do is we will step aside. We'll get the national news update from CBS News. I'll give you the 5 minutes of celebrity gossip drama on Tom and Gisele, because there is actually some interesting breaking news on that story. I tend not to care, but today's caught my eye a little bit. So I'll tell you about Tom and Gisele, and while I'm doing that, we'll wait for Buster Olney. Buster en route to Houston for the World Series. We'll talk baseball with Buster Olney of ESPN. We'll do that after the news and celebrity gossip. That's coming up next on the Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush, 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield, 96.5 W243 Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier, streaming at WDEVradio.com. 91 years of serving Vermont, the friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. Families in Texas got into a heated and emotional exchange today with the guy who led the response to the Uvalde school shooting. Reporter Chris Fox says these families are calling for him to quit.
The pressure is mounting on Texas Department of Public Safety Director Colonel Steve McCraw to resign because of what he called the abject failure of his department's response to the mass shooting.
But I'm not going to sit here and say that the Department of Public Safety is without fault. I made it very clear that we're going to evaluate every officer, due process.
McCraw expects their investigation report by the end of the year. Brett Cross called for McCraw to step down now.
Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like you're going to do that because you keep talking in circles and doing all that mess and everything. And listen, you can get irritated all you want. I lost my damn son.
Chris Fox for CBS News, Austin.
A somber anniversary in Pittsburgh.
My life is restored.
The Jewish community there is honoring the 11 lives lost when a gunman attacked the Tree of Life synagogue 4 years ago. It is still the deadliest attack on Jewish people in U.S. history and comes as anti-Jewish incidents here in the U.S. hit an all-time high. Russia's President Putin is now denying any intentions of using nuclear weapons in Ukraine, but is doubling down on claims that Ukraine is still building a dirty bomb. As the UN sends inspectors to check that out at several locations in Ukraine, the U.S. is raising other concerns.
A Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman accuses the U.S. of thoughtless escalation as it offers support to Ukraine, warning the support could lead to a direct confrontation with Russia and catastrophic consequences. That, as Moscow says it might target Western commercial satellites used for military purposes. Here at the White House, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said he'd heard about the threat and would only add this.
Any attack on U.S. infrastructure will be met with a response.
Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, the White House.
CBS News has learned the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol is planning to interview agents and officials with the Secret Service in the coming weeks. That includes former Secret Service Assistant Director Tony Ornato and former President Trump's lead agent on January 6th, Robert Engel. Both men have already been interviewed by the committee at least once. History in New York City today as the fire department names Laura Kavanaugh its first female commissioner.
This moment, me being first, only matters if I am not the last.
She'll oversee the department's 17,000 employees, including both firefighters and emergency medical personnel. The economy showed signs of improvement today. The Dow added 200 points.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Visit libertymutual.com to learn more.
The 2023 cost of living adjustment was announced by the Social Security Administration on October 13th. At 8.7%, it is one of the largest dollar amount increases. AARP's CEO Joanne Jenkins.
The guaranteed benefits provided by Social Security are more crucial than ever as high inflation remains a problem for older Americans.
The 2023 adjustment should boost the average Social Security benefit by about $145 a month. For more information, go to aarp.org/Social Security.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk. I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill in the morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
One pill, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Israel and Lebanon have signed an agreement that sets boundaries in the Mediterranean Sea in regards to oil and gas. CBS's Ian Lee has those details.
The United States led the negotiations between Israel and Lebanon. Lebanon hopes to start exploring for offshore gas as soon as possible. The country's economy has been in crisis for years after collapsing from mismanagement and corruption.
This can be an economic turning point in Lebanon,
Lebanese militants Hezbollah also agreed to the deal, but Lebanon's government insists determining a border doesn't mean the country recognizes Israel. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Prince Harry's new memoir finally has a title and a publication date. Spare comes out January 10th. Harry's publisher says the book's filled with insight and wisdom about power, love, and grief, and includes details following the death of his mother, Princess Diana. Proceeds from book sales will go to British charities. Monica Ricks, CBS News.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Buster Olney going to join us here in a couple of minutes, talk about the World Series and some general baseball topics of conversation. I got one thing I really want to ask him about Major League Baseball offenses, so we'll talk to Buster in a couple of minutes. And a reminder, you can listen to the Buster interview and all of our interviews, as well as our full shows, always available for free on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. So if you ever missed the show or ever want to hear part of it again, just go there, subscribe to the show, get it for free every day, and you can check us out. It's all thanks to Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber. Now, I don't really ever dive into celebrity gossip. I really don't care. It's not my business. I don't have all the facts, so I really just largely avoid it. But I do want to say this on the Tom Brady and Gisele stuff. And there was some breaking news that came out today. I'll get to that in a second. And this is all kind of pertinent in that today the Bucs are playing on Thursday Night Football. So the reports are out that Gisele has given Tom Brady an ultimatum. Quit football to be a family man, or we're following through on this divorce. Now, I don't know if she means quit football today, tomorrow, next month, or at the end of the season. That was unclear. But nonetheless, she has given the ultimatum. She's kind of extended one last olive branch, right? These two are lawyered up. They've got all the parties in place here to complete a divorce. She has put out one last olive branch, or one last chance for Brady to save his marriage and his family. So that's a pretty big step, right? Everybody who's ever been in a relationship, who's ever issued or been issued an ultimatum, you know what I'm talking about. Like when something like that happens, it's a big deal. And when you're already married and you've got kids together and she says, do this or I'm out, it's the biggest deal. So it is interesting. I'm just going to make an observation here. And again, you'll probably hear some of this drama tonight on Thursday Night Football. It's another reason why I, in part, bring it up. I'm just making an observation here. I'm not a relationship expert. I don't know them. I'm just a human being who's lived and breathed before. This whole thing doesn't sound very healthy. It's pretty easy, I think, to see that from every angle, this isn't good. I think no matter the decision that gets made, someone is going to end up unhappy and someone is going to end up resentful. And that's a pretty terrible thing for a relationship, for a marriage, for a father and a mother who have kids together. Again, celebrity gossip, not really my thing. But when I read this, I think the odds of everybody walking away happily ever after, I think they're very, very low. Okay, let's just play it out here for a second. Let's just say Tom retires. Okay, whether it's today, tomorrow, or the end of the season, let's just say Tom retires. If he retires because of her and because of this ultimatum, he's going to resent her. And that's no way to live, is it? It's no way to live to resent your wife. That's not really healthy for either of them. It's not healthy for her to be resented. Tom Brady clearly thinks that he can play. He clearly wants to play. And he will absolutely feel like she has robbed him of his passion, of his joy, of his career, and of his chance to do something historic. And that is not good. It's not good for him to feel that way, and it's not good for her to be the recipient of that resentment. So if Tom Brady retires, I don't think he's going to be all that thrilled. She'll be happy, because he'll be healthier and he'll be available, but he's not going to be happy. And then he's got his Fox broadcasting gig set to trigger whenever he retires, and then who knows if she'll be unhappy about that. And then we do the whole thing over again. So I don't think that ends up good. Then let's just go the other way, right? Tom could stay in football, and Tom could call her bluff and get divorced, in which case she'll resent him for breaking apart their family. She'll resent him for not being supportive enough as a husband or a father, and the kids might regret either or both of them for the decisions they made along the way, right? You could resent your dad for being selfish. You could resent your mom for kicking him to the curb. So if Tom plays football, calls her bluff, and gets divorced, somebody ends up resentful there too. And then if Gisele backs down and stays with Tom Brady and lets him play football, she'll always resent him. Won't she? She will always resent him for choosing football over their family, for not honoring her wishes, for going back on his word, for choosing her, for choosing football over her and the kids. None of this is good. None of this is good. No matter how you slice this, somebody is hurt, somebody's resentful, and somebody feels unfulfilled. Either they both end up divorced, or she ends up staying with him and unhappy, doing all the work at home, or he leaves football always wondering what could have been and what did you take from me. This doesn't feel healthy. And really, at the end of the day, I feel bad for the kids. Tom Brady could get a new woman tomorrow if he got divorced. Gisele could get a new man tomorrow if she got divorced. I feel bad for the kids in this, really. That's who I feel bad for. Texter says, good for her. Brady is a spoiled brat. Marion Randolph says, I agree with you. And Lou says, I love Brady and having the ability to watch so many unreal sports memories, but he's an idiot for going back. She's been playing housekeeper so he could play. He should have ridden off into the sunset after his last Super Bowl. I got to tell you, I agree. Now, and I'll say this. I think both parties have elements of right. Like we have no skin in the game here. Both parties have elements of right. Gisele is absolutely right to want her husband at home, to want him to be more of a family man, to want him to be more help to her. And she's absolutely right that she deserves a chance to chase some of her career goals and some of her initiatives after watching him do it for a decade. She's absolutely right. Tom is absolutely right, too. He knows what drives him. He knows what motivates him. He knows the things that he's passionate about, and he deserves to have a passion. They both have elements of right. However, at this point, I am on Gisele's team. I am on Gisele's side. 5 years ago, I wasn't. Okay, I'll be honest with you. 5 years ago, I did this topic on another show, and I was very anti-Gisele. I thought to myself then, you know what, lady? You knew who he was when you met him. Don't try to change him. How dare you try to change who Tom is? And 5 years later, I don't know. I might have been wrong then, but looking at it now, I was definitely wrong. Because right now, I am 100% on Team Gisele. Tom Brady has nothing left to play for. He is playing solely for selfish reasons, and he is destroying his family in the process. And he either doesn't believe her words, which, hey, they're a couples fight. Maybe this is her thing to threaten things, and he just doesn't buy it. But it sounds pretty believable from where I'm sitting. There's nothing left to play for, and he's ruining his family over it. And that just seems wrong to me. He's got the most titles ever. He's got the GOAT title. He's won in somewhere other than New England. He's won without Belichick. He's made a bunch of money. He's got a job lined up at Fox that keeps him close to the game. He's already proven he can play until 45. Like, the TB12 method, he's proven that it works. From a business perspective, he's proven that it works. What is there left to play for? The answer is nothing. The answer is to play just because he likes it and just because he can. And that, to me, is no longer enough. That, to me, is no longer enough. 5 years ago, I thought she was in the wrong, and she didn't get it. Now he's the one who doesn't get it. And he's throwing a lot of stuff away. For what? For the chance to go 9-7 this year in a mediocre NFC South? It doesn't seem worth it to me. It does not seem worth to me. One texter says Brady should stick to his guns. And that's why I said they both have elements of right. If you think that Brady's in the right, I can't tell you that you're wrong, because Brady does have elements of right. She is trying to change him. That said, I think at this point, it's okay. He's been doing this professionally for more than 20 years. He's been doing it with her for a decade. She's moved to a part of the region, I'm sure, or part of the country, I'm sure she didn't want to be in, and going to New England. She's played the happy homemaker. She's raised the kids. I get why she's upset. Tom's already done everything you could want to do. He's won 7 Super Bowls, the most of anybody, made a bunch of money, won in a different place, won in a different conference, beaten different opponents on the way to the Super Bowl. It's absolutely, to me, there's just nothing left to play for. There's nothing left to play for other than selfish reasons. And that, to me, at 45, should be a little more selfless. Jack says, this is a good debate. Only one person can be right. Well, they both have elements of right. I believe Gisele is right. However, like I said, I don't believe this is healthy. No matter how you slice it, somebody ends up unhappy. And that's the unfortunate part. If he quits football for her, he's going to resent her forever. Or at least for a very long time. And she wants this picket fence lifestyle where he's around, available, and they're vacationing together and they're doing things. She's not going to have that, at least easily and at least initially, because he's going to be too busy being upset at what she took from him. He wants the family life, but on his terms, and she's not going to give that to him, which I'm on her side for that. So he quits football, resents her. She stays in the relationship, backs down, and resents him, or they both end up divorced, resenting each other, and they have the kids to deal with. None of this is good. None of this is good. What is good, however, is talking to Buster Olney. Reminder that the World Series begins tomorrow, and we are going to have Game 1 right here on WDEV. The coverage is going to begin at 7 o'clock right after us. First pitch is 8:03, so Buster is waiting patiently on the phone line for us now.
All the insight into everything going on in baseball. It's time for our weekly conversation with ESPN baseball insider and Vermont native, Buster Olney.
I'm just about ready to bet the family farm in Vermont.
On the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
You know, it feels like fall today, finally. The Fall Classic begins tomorrow. It finally feels like fall. Yesterday, it's almost 80. Today, it's, barely 50. So we talked to Buster Olney now ahead of the Fall Classic, which, again, we will have on these airwaves. Most games, definitely tomorrow's game, though, right after us. Buster, thanks for being with us as you travel to Houston. How are you?
I'm doing great, Brady. What's happening?
Let's start with the World Series. And actually, let's start with, it's a Yankees-related question, but it's a baseball question in general. I was listening to ESPN radio yesterday, or 2 days ago, rather, and Alan Hahn was just hammering the Yankees for having kind of an all-or-nothing offensive approach and how you can't win in the playoffs when all you can do is hit home runs. And I used to be in that camp. I used to think small ball is how you would win in the playoffs. But you look at the Astros, they're winning by hitting a lot of home runs. You look at the Phillies, they're winning by hitting a lot of home runs. Even my Mariners, the series they won against Toronto, they hit multiple home runs. So it feels like the Yankees actually don't have so much of a flawed philosophy. They just went up against a juggernaut. Am I right in that?
I think you're completely right. And I also think that, part of the context has been lost for the Yankees is about the whole all-or-nothing approach. That's not what the front office envisioned when they built this team with DJ LeMahieu, who got hurt with a toe injury. And when they traded for Andrew Benintendi, who was one of the leaders for the American League batting title during the course of the year, but he suffered a broken hamate, which was a freak injury. Because Brady, this hasn't been reported. He actually had broken that hamate before, and when that operation was supposed to take place 7 years ago, the entire bone wasn't taken out, and so they wind up with this freak situation where he breaks the same bone again after it regrew. So the Yankees absolutely, believe, we need more contact. But your point is also taken. I think that what happened is that with a diminished lineup, using younger players, having guys like Josh Donaldson not performing very well, they ran into an incredible pitching staff in the Houston Astros. If you look at what the Astros staff has done and extrapolate it over the course of a full season, what they've gotten from their collective pitching staff, numbers-wise, it's Pete Pedro Martinez.
Wow.
Okay? If you took Pedro Martinez's best numbers, 1999 and 2000, that's what the Astros pitching staff has done this season. So I do feel like, we can hammer the Yankees and they should have done this or maybe they should have done that. Bottom line is they were beaten by a much better team in that 4-game sweep.
We've talked a lot about this with the Red Sox, and I agree the Red Sox need to spend this offseason because they're going to have the money to do it. But I also believe in, turning over the couch cushions and seeing what you can find and develop. And the Astros have done a really good job in that. I mean, look, Rafael Montero had a 7.7 ERA with the Mariners last year, goes to Houston, and boom, he's pitching in the 8th inning. I remember Hector Neris as a failed closer in Philly, and now he's throwing meaningful 7th, 8th innings for the Astros. Just the player development machine is just churning for them.
Well, and on top of that, the best teams in baseball in recent years are teams that add players, major leaguers, and help to get them better. The Dodgers might be the best example of that. Max Muncy, Tyler Anderson this year, in the past, Justin Turner. I mean, on and on and on. The Dodgers have had a remarkable success in that regard. The Yankees have with their bullpen. They've gotten guys from other teams that have done a really good job with it. And it is going to be really important for, the Red Sox to do that well going forward, as the Astros have demonstrated, because their bullpen is built off all these cast-offs with great arms who the Astros made adjustments with, and they've gotten better. It's when you really look back at the Houston franchise, which has been a consistent force in October, basically since 2015. The bottom line is they've made pitchers better, whether it's Garrett Cole or Justin Verlander or Charlie Morton or the relievers that they're running out this fall.
Buster Olney, ESPN MLB Insider, with us here on the Brady Farkas Show. Every Thursday, we're going to have Game 1 of the World Series from Houston beginning tomorrow night after we get off the air. Buster, it's interesting. I've said this to you a million times. I am a Chaim Bloom fan. I believe in what he is doing. And now I believe he needs to supplement what he's doing farm system-wise by spending money this offseason. But in general, I like Chaim Bloom. How should we feel watching Dave Dombrowski get to another World Series with another organization doing it his way, which was the antithesis of the Chaim Bloom way?
Right. That's exactly right. Well, look, I felt like at the time that the Red Sox let him go, that ownership was not being fair to him, because he was brought in to win a championship, and he executed by using resources exactly what they wanted. And that's how they wound up dogpiling at the end of the 2018 World Series. And Chris Sale played a role in that, and other guys they picked up played a role in that. And so I did think it was kind of funny that when, amusing when ownership let him go, as if he had, veered away from the vision. What did they expect when you get Dave Dombrowski? He's done a phenomenal job of building really great and on top of that, really interesting major league teams, very watchable teams, and that's exactly what he's done with the Phillies. In the spring, when he signed Kyle Schwarber, and let's face it, if you're the Red Sox, one of your big regrets in 2021 to 2022 was not bringing Schwarber back for his offense and for his leadership, but they signed Kyle Schwarber, they signed Nick Castellanos, despite the fact they already had Bryce Harper. Folks like myself were bellowing about how bad their defense was, and it really wasn't good. But you know what? Dave has built teams like that before. They've won with a staff that had a lot of strikeouts. He's he definitely is padding what I think is going to be a Hall of Fame resume.
What is your experience when a team wins the World Series or comes up just short, and kind of how it changes their offseason? What I'm asking about is I am rooting for the Phillies to win this World Series because, as a Red Sox fan, I think if the Phillies come up just short, they're going to be even more all in, and they're going to be calling Xander Bogaerts, and they're the team I would worry about. If they win the World Series, my goal is that ownership says, hey, we accomplished the goal. Let's back off the offseason spending. Is that realistic, or are they going after Bogaerts no matter what?
I think the fact that Bryson Stott has played so well at shortstop in this postseason will make them seriously rethink all the conversation about, do they go after Trey Turner? Do you go after Xander Bogaerts? It would be a really nice fit for them because of the fact that you have Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos and Zach Wheeler, you have a relatively top-heavy payroll. And so one of the ways to offset that is to, have a cheap young player like a Bryson Stott. So it wouldn't surprise me, given how he's performed in this postseason and during the regular season, if that's where they stick to. I think I think supposition is right that if the Phillies come just short, their owner, John Middleton, is going to be devoted to the idea of getting a piece or two that puts them over the top. But I don't think that piece is going to be a shortstop based on what I'm hearing.
Buster, I think you were on ESPN radio yesterday and said, or maybe it was 2 days ago, and said that the expectation around baseball is that Aaron Judge is going to be back with the Yankees. But I've seen the reports that the Giants are, quote, going to pay whatever it takes to get him. So, how many realistic bidders do you think there are for Judge?
I am, at this moment, having a hard time coming up with a third team besides the Yankees and besides the Giants. I know this firsthand. The Giants are going to be aggressive after him. Is there a breaking point? Is for Judge, is there a particular number that if the Yankees offer that he's going to say, you know what, that's good enough for me? And I'm speculating, say 8 years and $40 million a year. I don't know the answer to that. I can't see the Cubs, competing with where the Giants might be. I can't see the Cubs taking the number to a place where the Yankees aren't going to be. As much as you and I have enjoyed speculating about the Red Sox, given their recent moves, I don't see them being the team that could do it. The Mets are a bit of a wild card because their owner, Steve Cohen, can buy whoever he wants. Now, he talked about some financial responsibility, and they do have a lot of holes to fill, so that might make it unlikely that they're going to be the team that gives Judge that big money. And I will tell you, again, that there are folks in a lot of other organizations, including the Giants, who think it's going to be hard for anybody to pry Judge away from the Yankees.
Buster Olney from ESPN with us here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Let me ask you another Yankees question, and this one's about Giancarlo Stanton. So I'm doing some rough math here. He's got 5 guaranteed years left and about $150 million. That is no longer an albatross contract. I'm thinking of the Mariners. I'm thinking of other teams that need power. Is that a contract now the Yankees can move this offseason? Would they want to move it?
Well, given the current circumstance, I think if you gave truth serum and asked, hey, if you had an opportunity to shed the Stanton that contract, would you do it? Of course. I think anybody, when you get a player who's in his 30s, as Stanton is now, the backside of the contract can be an albatross. But the fact is, he has a full no-trade clause. He's not going anywhere. And, he effectively steered himself to the Yankees. If you remember, he turned down an opportunity to talk with, the Cardinals. I think at the beginning of the process, when the Marlins traded him, his first pick was to go to his hometown in Los Angeles. And when that didn't happen, if the Yankees were the second choice, the Dodgers are not going to trade for him now. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Buster, I'll get you out of here on this. There are some reports on the Red Sox and their level of interest, or level of aggressiveness, I should say, in trying to get a deal done with Rafael Devers this offseason. The Spanish-speaking media says the Red Sox are down there right now negotiating with him. The English-speaking media stateside says it's not so imminent. They're just kind of down there making rounds, and maybe they're seeing Devers as part of that. Are you hearing anything, and what do you think of the idea of them maybe trying to lock up Devers Devers before Bogaerts.
Yeah, they said, folks that I've spoken with, that that they're going to make a run at Devers, and I think this is all part of it. I think that having these conversations and making him feel good on his birthday and making him feel wanted, that's all part of it. So who knows what exactly numbers, where they're going to wind up falling. I do think it's smart for the Red Sox to prioritize Devers because he's a younger player. He's the player that if you sign, he's got more impact. They need to get him locked up first. It's like any other business. You're going to want to get your big, your most expensive cost in the book. And Devers is going to be a lot more expensive than Bogaerts because of the age. So take your run at Devers, see if you can get that done, and that'll present you the context through which you either pursue Bogaerts or don't pursue him going forward, or don't make him a huge offer. Devers is the priority, so I think it's right that they are down there trying to make this work.
Buster, yesterday was this show's 2-year anniversary. We added you weekly at about the 8 or 9 month mark, and we certainly are thrilled with that decision and pumped that you are a part of this show every week. So thanks for all you've contributed in the time you've been with us, and here's onward and upward to year 3. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. You've done a great job, and your credit to Central Vermont, that's for sure.
Well, thank you very much, Buster. We'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the series.
Okay, Brady. See ya.
Absolutely. We'll see Buster Olney next week, and who knows, the season could be over by that point. We are going to have Game 1 tomorrow of the World Series coming up at 7 o'clock. The first pitch is just after 8. We'll get more into baseball tomorrow as we kind of preview everything. And I think the Dave Dombrowski stuff is fascinating. Buster says, I think Dave Dombrowski was done wrong. And you know what? He was. He was done wrong. He did too much. He did exactly what the organization wanted. As much as I like Chaim Bloom, Dave Dombrowski did exactly what the organization wanted. And the way he was fired was also pretty unceremonious as well. And Dombrowski commented on that stuff today. We'll get into more of that tomorrow. I promised you a little UVM hoops talk. We're going to do that next because there's something happening under the hood at UVM basketball that just might be a really, really pleasant development. I'll tell you what that is. That's next on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
The fall foliage blowout sale is on at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Our goal here at Lamoille Valley Chevy is to finish off this incredible year strong by making deals. Right, Pat? You got that right, bro. Folks, right now at Lamoille Valley Chevy, our 7-acre lot is loaded with new Chevy Bolts, Blazers, Equinox, and several hard-to-find Silverado trucks. And many of these Silverado trucks have plows and dumps and are ready to go to work for you. And because business has been so strong, our inventory of clean, one-owner, late-model cars, trucks, and SUVs at Lamoille Valley Chevy is massive. And we are ready to do whatever it takes to sell them before the snow flies. Listen to this special offer for you just in time for winter driving. During October, come get your best deal on any in-stock, newer, pre-owned SUV, and Lamoille Valley Chevy will include 4 winter snow tires for just $1. You heard Pat. Get a great deal at the fall foliage blowout sale at Lamoille Valley Chevy, just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, Vermont.
As Vermonters, we know that so much depends on the weather. When you need a reliable local weather forecast, it's literally at your fingertips with the WDEV weather phone. Locally dial 244-1172 or toll free at 1-800-585-1211. Roger Hill's weather forecast is just a phone call away on the WDEV weather phone, 244-1172 or 1-800-585-1211.
Going to the Village Grocery is a lot like visiting an old friend, whether it's your first time or your 5th day in a row. Fill up at the pumps, where a penny of every gallon is donated to a local charity. Pop in for a muffin and coffee, or visit the deli for inventive twists on your favorite sandwiches and crave-worthy lunch specials like lasagna and mac and cheese. The Village Grocery is a neighborhood treasure, flush with laid-back charm. The Village Grocery, Main Street in Waitsfield.
WDEV and Wheels for Warmth celebrate 17 years of keeping our neighbors warm and usable tires out of the landfill. Tires will be collected Thursday and Friday, October 27th and 28th. The tire sale will take place Saturday, October 29th from 8 to noon at 2 locations, the Vermont Granite Museum in Barrie and Gisele Construction in Mendon.
Support for Wheels for Warmth is provided by Plainfield Hardware General Store and Deli, Route 2 between East Montpelier and Plainfield, by New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, supporting strong communities by helping local government since 1986, and by The Source, located in Montpelier, your go-to place for car repair and used Subaru sales.
Wheels for Warmth tire sale, Saturday, October 29th from 8 to noon. Proceeds from Wheels for Warmth go to emergency heating assistance throughout Vermont. More information at wheelsforwarmth.org.
Do you want to learn more about the free market perspective on important public policy issues affecting you, your work, and your community? I'm Bill Sayre, and I hope you'll do so by joining me in conversation with Vermont opinion leaders as we discuss how best to make Vermont an ever better and more affordable place to live and work. Common Sense Radio with Bill Sayre, weekdays 11 till noon.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Text before I get to the UVM hoops thing, and that will be quick. Texter says, Brady, regarding Tom Brady, would you feel this way if he were still playing for the Patriots? Yes, but the situations would be different, right? Like Tom Brady, now it's very clear and easy for me to say he has nothing left to play for, right? He's already done everything. He won that 7th ring in Tampa. So he's got the most rings of any player. That check. He's got the GOAT title. Check. He's won without Belichick. Check. He's won with a different organization. Check. He's won in a different conference. Check. So, like, now it's very easy to see that Tom Brady has checked all the boxes. If Tom Brady was still in Foxborough, he would not have had all those boxes to check, if that makes sense. So, yes, I believe that I would still feel this way. I believe I would still feel this way. If Tom Brady had 6 titles, was still in Foxborough, and just kind of hanging with Belichick, I'd say, dude, like, Belichick's not going anywhere. Like, there's nothing left to prove. So it would be a different situation. I think Tom Brady leaving has added to a more full body of work, so it's very easy for me to say there's nothing left to accomplish. There would have been something left to accomplish if he had stayed in Foxborough, but Belichick wasn't going to get fired, so he wouldn't have had a chance to overcome that or to accomplish that. So, yeah, at 45 years old, with nothing left to play for other than your own selfish desires, yes, I think I'd feel the exact same way, whether Brady feels her and whether, I think I'd feel the exact same way. And, for the whole, like, oh, Brady, if you were a Patriots fan, you'd still want him here. Well, yeah, I'd want him here. But I'm also 33 years old now. I get the way life works at this point. Like, my desire to be a fan, I'm able to compartmentalize. Brady, the fan, would love for Tom Brady to keep playing. What he's doing is unbelievable and historic. And we've never seen it before in the NFL. So me, the fan, of course I want that. But me, the human, me, the life, me, the person who's lived life for a while now, gets the way life works. And I can see that this dude is throwing away his marriage and his fatherhood to play for something that he doesn't have to be doing anymore. He's got a 10-year, $370 million deal at Fox coming to him when he's done. So he's not playing for the money. He's not playing for stats. He's not playing for a title anymore. He's just playing because he can. And that, to me, is not the right reason to be breaking apart your family. All right, UVM men's basketball. Let's get there. And we're going to do the NFC in 3 words or less, by the way, but we're going to get to the UVM men's basketball team here briefly because UVM is opening up their season, their exhibition season, coming up on Saturday night, 7 p.m., when they take on St. Michael's College. They're going to play Middlebury on November 2nd. There is a potentially major development for this team happening underneath the hood. And that is something that Coach Tom Brennan told me when I spoke to him earlier this week.
Have you ever thought of Robin Duncan, much as I love the boy, as a shooter? Well, no. He is really, his shot has improved leaps and bounds. And to the point, really, where I think they encourage him to shoot the ball a little bit more. Obviously, he's always been good going to the basket. But as I've always said, if he just could get a jumper to match that, and I think he has really come around on that. And
so Coach Brennan tells us that Robin Duncan is developing a jump shot. That would be an incredible development for this program. Because let's look at it this way. Let's look at the facts. John Becker has told me that Robin Duncan's going to be one of the primary ball handlers on this team. So Robin Duncan's going to play a lot. Dylan Penn, we know, is probably the best player on this team. He's going to play a lot when he's healthy. Neither one of them historically have been good shooters, right? Dylan Penn doesn't shoot a lot of threes, and Robin Duncan is a career 20% three-point shooter. He's never hit more than 7 in a season. He's never hit more than 7 threes in a season. 20% in his career. So my worry is like, all right, I think UVM's good, but Dylan Penn's going to play a lot and Robin's going to play a lot, and neither one of them are shooters. So you're putting a lot on 3 guys there as far as being able to hit outside jumpers. And Fiorillo is going to start at the 5, so you're probably going to want him down low a bit. So that's going to take it. Now you only got 2 guys on the perimeter that can shoot. Like now you're just creating pressure and stress on the offense. Well, Coach Brennan now telling me that Robin Duncan can hit it a little bit. It's a big-time deal for this team. Look, what do I need him to shoot? If he can shoot 30% and hit 1 a game, I think that would be huge. If by the end of the year, Robin Duncan's hit 33s, I think that would be a humongous deal. 1 a game. That's all I'm asking for. 1 a game. But he's got to be a threat out there. Because if Duncan can't shoot and Penn can't shoot, well, now the ability of each of them to get to the bucket is neutralized a little bit because they're so easy to just sag off of. And the pressure becomes greater on an Aaron Deloney, on a Finn Sullivan, on a Nick Fiorillo, on your guys that can shoot from 3. If I can basically play way off these 2 guys, then they can't get to the bucket as easily, and everything is kind of neutralized. So if he can shoot, look, we saw Traybell Haynes. Traybell Haynes was not a great three-point shooter. Developed it a little bit as we went on. Like I'm going to pull up the Traybell Haynes Traybell Haynes stats and kind of see where he was at. Let's see. Can we grab Traybell Haynes? Let's see. Okay, that's the wrong year. So, man, Traybell Haynes hasn't been here already in like 4 years. That's insane to me. So, well, I can't even find Traybell Haynes at the moment. Well, we will find him here, but and even like Benny, right? Like Benny was never thought of as a shooter, and then he became a great shooter. Okay, here's the Traybell Haynes stuff. So let's see where he was at. I mean, Traybell Haynes hit 22 threes, I believe, 26 threes in his best shooting year. If Robin Duncan could do that, I'd take it, right? Traybell Haynes was a 39% three-point shooter. He just never took them. If Robin Duncan can hit a few, I'll be down with it. That I will be 100% down with it if Robin Duncan can hit a 3 a game. And I think we're going to talk with Robin Duncan tomorrow, actually. So we're going to ask him about his shooting development. And UVM taking on St. Mike's again Saturday night at Patrick Gym at 7 o'clock. Middlebury, they'll take on Wednesday. Brady Farkas show here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Your NFL team in 3 words or less, NFC style. That comes up next on DEV.
Fall is here. Hi, this is Tiffany at Menard's Family True Value. It's time to prepare for winter. Our pottery selection is expansive and ready to outfit those plants you're bringing inside. We are stocked up with mouse bait, traps, leaf rakes, and bags. We've also got hardware and paint for all the DIY home projects still on your list. Fill a 100-pound propane tank for deer camp for just $79. My family owned and operated. Menard's Family True Value, Brooklyn Street, Morrisville. Now open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., closed Sundays.
If you're in Central Vermont and looking for hockey gear, look no further than Waterbury Sports. Hey, this is Caleb. Since we opened in 2015, Waterbury Sports boasts one of the best selections of sticks, pads, skates, and accessories. Plus, our expert skate sharpeners can't be beat. Not a hockey player? No problem. We have loads of warm, comfortable soft skates and figure or hockey blades that any skater will enjoy. Don't forget, our seasonal ski lease program has started, so come in and reserve your gear today. Waterbury Sports, Central Vermont's hockey headquarters, downtown Waterbury, Vermont.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Hi, I am Dr. Sarah Waterman Manning, a general surgeon at Copley Hospital. In addition to offering general surgery care, I have a special interest in women's breast care. Mammograms are an important screening. They can save lives by finding breast cancer in its earliest stages, often when most treatable. Stage 1 breast cancer has a 99.1% survival rate. Guidelines now suggest women get their first mammogram at age 40. However, if you have a family history of breast cancer or certain cancers, your practitioner will recommend screening at an earlier age. Thanks to you, we will soon be able to perform stereotactic biopsies and breast MRIs right here at Copley, in addition to our current mammography and breast ultrasound programs. To learn more about mammograms and women's health at Copley, check out my blog at copleyvt.org. To schedule your mammogram, call Copley's Radiology Department at 802-888-8358.
Attract the birds to your feeder this year with a great selection of premium bird seeds at family-owned Guy's Farm and Yard stores. Keep the unwanted critters out of your feeders with new critter-resistant feeders and attachments to your feeders to stop the little robbers. Guy's has your pets well-nourished with top-of-the-line pet foods, accessories, toys, beds, and kennels. Questions? Ask the experts at Guy's Farm and Yard, Portland Street, Morrisville, Berry Street, Montpelier, Calf Corners, Williston, and Fairfax Road, St. Albans.
Rise and shine with WTEV Sunday mornings. Begin the day at 6 with Joel Nasman and 2 hours of classical music, followed by the Takeout with Major Gary. A casual discussion of politics, policy, and pop culture. Then it's Jane Pauley and CBS Sunday Morning with stories about the arts, music, nature, and entertainment. The morning concludes with Sunday Morning Swing Time, an hour of swing tunes. Join us Sunday mornings on WDEV AM and FM and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Jazz with George Thomas coming up about 15 minutes from now. Now, though, it's your NFL team in 3 words or less, NFC style. Give me the music. All right, you know how we do this, right? We start in order. We start in standings order. We start in the NFC East. Philadelphia Eagles, they're 6-0, 3 words or less. Just got better. The Eagles already have some unbelievable metrics, right? They've only committed 2 turnovers this season. That's the best in the NFL. They have the best turnover differential in the NFL at +12. And now they've got Robert Quinn. They go acquire the best pass rusher on the market, maybe this side of Bradley Chubb. So Jalen Hurts is playing well. They don't turn the ball over. They already take it away, and they go get a dynamite pass rusher. Philadelphia Eagles just got better. New York Giants are 6-1, 3 words or less. Are they lucky? The Giants are good, right? Last week I called them the best story in the NFL. And Brian Daboll very well may be the coach of the year. If this continues, he's going to be the coach of the year, probably in a landslide. But are they lucky? They're the second team in NFL history to start 6-1 or better, with each of their first 7 games decided by 1 possession. Every game they play is close. They've been able to keep them close and win it in the fourth quarter. Can that continue? Right? Are they really good? Are they really well coached? Or are they a little bit lucky and some of this stuff is fluky? We'll find out. They're going to go to Seattle, who's 4-3. I don't think the Seahawks are great. It's certainly a winnable game for the Giants, but it's a tough game that figures to be close. It's a 3,000-mile trip. Tough place to play. We'll see what happens, right? This is not, going to Jacksonville. This is going to Seattle where the crowd is going to be against you. We will see what happens. Giants, are they lucky? Cowboys, strength on weakness. And that's for this game this week against the Bears. The reason being, the Bears' offensive line has allowed 27 sacks. That's worse than the NFL. Cowboys lead the league in sacks with 29. I mean, there's a lot of stuff about Dak Prescott here. We could talk all about him, and I think Ezekiel Elliott's out in this game. But strength on weakness. There's your 3 words. They just have to exploit that. You exploit the Bears' offensive line in the way the Patriots didn't for enough of the game, Cowboys should win this game. Washington Commanders. Heineke's cool tradition. Did you hear this story? Taylor Heineke told Pardon My Take yesterday on Barstool Sports that every game he wins as a starter, he goes and buys a pair of Michael Jordan shoes, of Air Jordans, in the colors of the team he just beat. That's all you need to know. They beat the Packers last week. He went and bought green and gold Air Jordans. That's one of the coolest things I've ever heard. Also might be a fantastic waste of money. But hey, it's a cool collectible for him. I still like that story. NFC West, we got to move quicker here. Time getting away from me. NFC West, Seahawks first place. Really? Huh? Geno comeback story. Geno is, if the Giants are the best story in the league from a team perspective, Geno's the best story in the league from a player perspective. He's 4-3. I don't know if he can keep this up. He's going to the Pro Bowl at this rate. He might get a multi-year extension from Seattle at this rate. He's playing better than Russell Wilson at this rate. He's a top quarterback in nearly every metric. He's completing 70% of his passes. The Seahawks would be nowhere without Geno Smith. It's a great story. Left for dead career-wise a decade ago. And now he's going to go to the Pro Bowl probably at 31, 32 years old. Rams can't beat Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan has beaten Sean McVay 7 consecutive regular season games, and they already won this year 24-9 back in week 4. McVay's a great coach. He can't beat Shanahan. Niners, what's wrong defensively? 49ers have allowed more points in their last 2 games than they allowed in their first 5 combined. Niners have allowed 72 points in the past 2 games. They allowed 61 over their first 5. What's wrong defensively? Arizona, they're in last place. 3 words or less. Hopkins, game changer. Cardinals won last week on Thursday night against the Saints. Why? DeAndre Hopkins, back from suspension. 10 catches, 103 yards. They're going to build on that, I'm sure, in this coming weekend. Who are they taking on? The Minnesota Vikings. Vikings, first place NFC North, 3 words or less. Interesting trends here. Kirk Cousins has won 4 straight starts. He's never won 5 straight. Vikings will be 6-1 for the first time since 2009. Cardinals come to town. They've never won in Minnesota. They're 0-10 there all-time in their career. Interesting trends there. Interesting numbers there. Green Bay Packers, it's panic time. Usually it's RELAX for the Packers. Nah, it's panic time. They've lost 3 straight games for the first time since 2018. They haven't lost 4 since 2016. They're on the verge of doing that. They're taking on the Bills, the best team in football. They're 0-6 all-time in Buffalo. Aaron Rodgers is complaining publicly about guys on his team. The whole thing is a mess right now. Chicago Bears, Justin Fields validation. Monday night was a clinic, and Fields was great. Right? He threw it effectively. He ran it effectively, designed runs, scrambles, kept the play alive. If you have that bad of an offensive line, you need your quarterback to do some things like Fields did. That shows what he's capable of. Justin Fields validation. Detroit, top pick possibility. Lions had the number 1 pick in the draft last year. They took Aiden Hutchinson. They just might have, or the number 2 pick in the draft. No, they had the number 2 pick in the draft. They very well may get the number 1 pick this year. They have 1 win. They're battling it out with Houston. NFC South. Tampa Bay somehow at 3-4 is in first place. Tom is unhappy. You're going to see it on his face today. Tom Brady's not enjoying football. It's tough to watch. Atlanta Falcons, where's Kyle Pitts? All of you that play fantasy football, which I don't play fantasy football, but all of you were wondering, why doesn't this guy get the football? Kyle Pitts is a freak. He was a top pick last year in the draft, and they never seem to throw to him. He's got 16 catches this season. He has played in 6 games. He has 16 catches. That's 2.5 a game. 1 touchdown. Where's Kyle Pitts? Carolina Panthers. 3 words or less. Why they play. That's why they play the game, everybody. Panthers trade away Robbie Anderson. Baker Mayfield's hurt. They trade away Christian McCaffrey, and they whitewash Tom Brady 21-3. We can say whatever we want. The pundits can say whatever they want. Vegas can say whatever they want. That is why they play the game. So why they play, that's 3 words. Good for P.J. Walker. Good for Steve Wilkes, the interim head coach. Good for them. And finally, 3 words or less, New Orleans Saints. Turnovers tell story. Andy Dalton threw 3 interceptions last week against the Cardinals. 2 were returned for touchdowns. And by the way, the Saints have committed 16 turnovers in the NFL. That's the most. And they have the worst turnover differential, -10. Injuries are really bad for the Saints. Turnovers also. Pick whichever word you want. Injuries or turnovers. They tell the story. We do that every week now. That's become a fan favorite. Your NFL team in 3 words or less. Bob says love 3 words or less. We are going to do that every week now. I like it too. I had worried it might have been a little too long, but I like it too. We're doing it every week moving forward from this point. So there's your NFL team in 3 words or less. We did the AFC in the 5 o'clock hour. You can check it out on the podcast channel, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. Bucks and Ravens tonight. Kickoff is 8:15. We'll see how Tom Brady does in that one. See if the Bucks can avoid falling to 3-5. It'd be the first time ever Tom Brady's been 2 games under 500. Seriously. That's a stat and a half. Jazz with George Thomas is next. The Football Talk Friday is tomorrow. Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
Marvin Windows are